The blue whale is the largest animal that has ever existed on Earth. It surpasses in size any known dinosaur. An adult can measure more than 30 meters in length. Some records mention specimens approaching 33 meters. Its weight can exceed 150 tons. Its heart alone weighs as much as a small car. It belongs to the group of baleen whales. It has no teeth. Instead, it has keratin plates called baleen. With them, it filters food from the water. It feeds almost exclusively on krill, small crustaceans that form dense swarms in cold and productive areas. In a single gulp, it can swallow several tons of water loaded with krill. Then it closes its mouth and expels the water, trapping the prey in the baleen. Its body is perfectly adapted to this lifestyle. The throat has folds that expand like an accordion. The body is elongated and hydrodynamic. The wide tail generates enormous power with each fluke stroke. Despite its size, it can reach speeds close to 20 to 25 kilometers per hour in short bursts. Blue whales inhabit all the oceans. There are populations in the Atlantic, Pacific, Indian, and Southern Oceans. They are migratory animals. They travel thousands of kilometers each year. They seek krill-rich waters to feed and more temperate areas to reproduce. Many of these routes have been reconstructed thanks to satellite tags attached to the skin and the analysis of photographs of fins and markings. Their vocalizations are also impressive. They produce very low sounds below the range of human hearing. These songs can travel hundreds of kilometers underwater. They're used to communicate, coordinate, and perhaps navigate over long distances. Hydrophones on the seafloor record their calls and allow scientists to estimate where they are and how many there are. During the 20th century, they were hunted intensively. The whaling industry reduced their populations to the brink of collapse. Since the ban on commercial whaling, some populations show signs of recovery. Others remain at very low levels. The main current threats are collisions with ships, underwater noise, fishing nets, and changes in krill distribution due to global warming. Cameras today allow better measurement of their size, physical condition, and behavior. Drones and underwater equipment offer a more complete view of their daily life. Even so, it remains a difficult animal to study due to its long migrations and preference for areas far from the coast. 9. Aguamar or pulmo jellyfish. The so-called aguamar, also known as pulmo jellyfish or Rhizostoma pulmo, is one of the largest and most common jellyfish in the Mediterranean. Its umbrella, the upper bell, can exceed 60 to 80 centimeters in diameter. Some specimens approach 1 meter. The body is dense and heavy. It can weigh several kilograms. It is a Siphomedusa. It does not have long tentacles like other jellyfish. Under the bell, extensive lobed oral arms are grouped. These arms divide into multiple sections that create a compact mass with thousands of stinging cells. It feeds by filtering plankton, eggs, and small organisms that get trapped on contact. It prefers coastal and semi-enclosed waters. It is common in the Mediterranean and adjacent seas. It is observed in bays, gulfs, and lagoons connected to the sea. It tolerates wide ranges of temperature and salinity. This flexibility allows it to thrive in areas altered by human activity. Its massive blooms have increased in recent decades. In the northern Adriatic, for example, events have been recorded with densities of more than 10 jellyfish per square meter, visible from satellites and drones as a continuous carpet over the sea. These concentrations affect tourism, fishing, and coastal infrastructure. The causes of these increases are not simple. Water warming advances and lengthens the reproductive season. Mild winters favor the survival of more adult jellyfish. Overfishing reduces the number of predators and competitors that feed on the same plankton. Nutrient inputs from rivers and coastal cities stimulate primary production, which in turn increases the food available for jellyfish. The life cycle contributes to these explosions. The visible phase is the adult jellyfish, but there is a benthic phase, the polypi, which remains attached to the substrate. Polyps multiply asexually and under certain conditions release many small young jellyfish. A single patch of polyps can generate thousands of individuals in a short time. Toxicity to humans is moderate. Its stings can be painful and irritating, but rarely life-threatening. However, the pressure they exert on nets, water intakes of power plants, and fish farms can be considerable. Fishing vessels have sometimes had to render their nets unusable due to the weight of trapped aguamars. Cameras have been key to measuring these phenomena. Aerial images show compact patches along kilometers of coast. Underwater recordings reveal dense columns of gelatinous bodies from the surface to several meters depth. 8. Giant Pacific octopus. The giant Pacific octopus is the largest known octopus. Its scientific name is Enteroctopus doflani. It can reach an average arm span of 3 to 5 meters. The usual weight ranges from 20 to 50 kilograms, but much larger specimens have been recorded. There are reports of individuals over 9 meters in span and around 270 kilograms, although these are exceptional cases. It lives in temperate and cold waters of the North Pacific, from California to Alaska, and along the coasts of Russia and Japan. It prefers rocky bottoms, caves, and areas with crevices where it can take shelter. It moves from shallow waters just a few meters deep to depths exceeding 1,000 meters. Its body is soft, without an internal or external skeleton. The only rigid part is the beak, similar to that of a parrot. This allows it to pass through very small openings. A large octopus can pass through an opening of just a few centimeters if the beak fits. Each of its 8 arms is covered with suckers. These suckers have chemoreceptors. They not only grasp but also taste what they touch. It is an active predator. It feeds on crabs, lobsters, bivalves, fish, and other invertebrates. It can pierce hard shells with its beak and apply a mild toxin that helps immobilize prey. Attacks on small sharks and seabirds trapped near the surface have also been documented. Its intelligence stands out among invertebrates. It experiments, learns from experience, and solves problems. In the laboratory, it has been seen opening jars, operating locks, and navigating simple mazes. In the sea, this ability translates into constant exploration. It manipulates objects, steals prey from fishing traps, and examines cameras and diving equipment. Underwater footage has shown several key traits. One is camouflage ability. The octopus changes color and texture in fractions of a second. Its skin contains chromatophores and muscles that modify pattern and relief. This allows it to mimic rocks, algae, or sand. Another trait is curiosity toward cameras. Many viral recordings exist because the octopus approaches, extends an arm, and takes the equipment as if it were just another prey item. Its life cycle is short. It lives 3 to 5 years. The male dies shortly after mating. The female lays tens of thousands of eggs in a protected den. She cares for them for months, cleaning and oxygenating the clutch. She does not feed during this period. She dies shortly after the young hatch. The species faces threats related to pollution, bycatch, and ocean warming. However, in many regions it remains relatively common. For divers and cameras, it represents a striking encounter, a large, flexible animal capable of changing shape and interacting with its environment. 7. Siphonophore. A siphonophore is not a single animal. It is a colony of many tiny individuals called zooids. Each zooid is specialized in a function. Some handle flotation, others propulsion, others digestion and reproduction. They all share the same genetic material and remain connected, forming an elongated structure that, as a whole, behaves as if it were a single organism. Some species of the genus Apolemia can reach extreme lengths. In 2020, a siphonophore sighted off Australia was estimated at about 45 meters long, coiled in a spiral in the water column, which would place it among the longest recorded animals. Most of the time, these organisms are as thin as a rope. Without the proper contrast and without artificial lighting, they are almost invisible to the human eye. They mainly inhabit the open sea, far from the coast. They are typical of the deep ocean and the mesopelagic zone, although some species may approach the surface at night. They are part of the gelatinous zooplankton and move through coordinated contractions of the swimming zooids. Some siphonophores control their buoyancy with gas-filled vesicles. Their mode of feeding is passive but effective. They extend filaments loaded with stinging cells, similar to jellyfish tentacles. These filaments form a kind of sticky curtain in the water column. Any small fish, crustacean, or planktonic organism that passes through receives a discharge of nematocysts and is immobilized. Then other zooids handle ingesting and digesting the prey. Cameras on remotely operated vehicles, ROVs, have been essential for documenting them. Without these platforms, most giant siphonophores would go unnoticed. ROVs allow tracking the body over tens of meters, recording details of the zooids, and estimating total length. Images have shown that the animal often arranges itself in a spiral or in long, undulating lines, occupying a volume of water much larger than its thickness would suggest. Records of massive appearances are also important. In some years, large concentrations of Apolemia uvaria have been described in areas of the northeastern Atlantic and European seas, associated with changes in currents and water masses. These events remind us that gelatinous zooplankton can reach considerable biomass even though it is almost transparent. In terms of direct impact on humans, siphonophores do not have the reputation of coastal species like the Portuguese man o' war. However, their ecological role is significant. They transform large amounts of plankton into gelatinous biomass. They serve as food for fish, turtles, and other deep-sea predators. Moreover, when they die, their bodies contribute to marine snow, transporting carbon to the ocean floor. This type of colonial gigantism shows that a marine organism does not need to be compact or rigid to dominate space. The creature can be an almost invisible line extending for tens of meters. What's colossal coral? A coral is an animal, not a rock or a plant. Each coral head is made up of thousands or millions of small polyps. Each polyp is a small sac with tentacles that captures plankton and secretes calcium carbonate. Over time, these skeletons accumulate and form massive structures. Reef-building corals mostly belong to the group of hard corals, or scleractinians. Genera, such as porites and favia, can produce giant colonies. In places like the Great Barrier Reef and American Samoa, porites heads over 6 meters tall and more than 20 meters in circumference have been described, such as the famous Big Mama. These structures have estimated ages of several centuries. Each year, the polyps add a thin layer of calcium carbonate to the skeleton. In this way, a colony can grow only a few millimeters in height per year. But by maintaining this pace for hundreds of years, it ends up forming true living blocks. Studies of cores extracted from these corals show growth rings that record changes in temperature, salinity, and water chemistry over centuries. The coral becomes a climate archive. Although they appear as a single mass, they remain colonies. Each polyp houses symbiotic microalgae called zooxanthellae. These algae perform photosynthesis and provide the coral with much of its energy. In return, they receive protection and nutrients. This relationship explains why many massive corals are concentrated in clear, shallow waters where enough light enters. Giant corals provide structure to the reef. Their volume creates shelters, barriers, and labyrinths for fish, invertebrates, and other organisms. In areas like the Great Barrier Reef, reefs built by millions of colonies cover hundreds of thousands of square kilometers. Without these living blocks, the underwater relief would be much simpler and poorer in habitats. Today, these colonies face significant threats. Warming waters cause bleaching events. During these events, the zooxanthellae are expelled or die, and the coral loses color and energy. If conditions do not improve, the colony may die. Ocean acidification, pollution, and intense storms also erode their structures. Still, new tall reefs have been documented as discovered in the Great Barrier Reef, some over 400 meters tall from the base, showing that growth and surprises are still possible. 5. Nomura jellyfish. The Nomura jellyfish, Nemopilema nomurai, is one of the largest jellyfish in the world. Its bell can reach about 2 meters in diameter and weigh up to 200 kilograms, similar to a very large adult person. It grows extremely fast. In about 6 months, it goes from the size of a grain of rice to a dome larger than a human. It primarily inhabits the marginal seas of East Asia. It is typical of the Yellow Sea, the East China Sea, and the Sea of Japan. There, it moves with the currents, but its life cycle remains anchored to the coasts of China and Korea, where benthic polyps attach to hard structures, natural or artificial. When conditions are favorable, massive blooms occur. Since the late 20th century, increasingly frequent population explosions have been documented, with notable peaks between 2002 and 2009. In those years, densities in some areas were tens to hundreds of times higher than usual. In 2009, a Japanese fishing vessel of about 10 tons capsized while trying to lift a net full of Nomura jellyfish. The extra load exceeded the stability of the vessel. The economic damage can be enormous. Between 2005 and 2006, Nomura blooms caused estimated losses of about $270 million for Japanese fisheries, breaking nets, destroying catches, and obstructing activity in key areas. The jellyfish also clog water intakes in power plants and aquaculture, causing forced shutdowns and fish mortality in cages. The causes of these blooms are multiple. Studies point to rising sea temperatures, coastal eutrophication, shoreline modification, and overfishing as factors favoring Nemopilema nomurae. Fewer predators and competitors, more planktonic food, and more hard surfaces for polyp attachment create the ideal scenario for a gelatinous boom. Ecologically, it consumes large amounts of zooplankton and fish eggs. During blooms, feeding pressure can equal or exceed local zooplankton production, altering entire food chains. At the same time, it serves as food for leatherback turtles, ocean sunfish, tunas, and some large pelagic fish. But in many events, its biomass far exceeds the consumption capacity of these predators. Images are essential to understand its true scale. Photos with divers show how a single specimen can be as large as a person and fill almost the entire frame. Shots from boats reveal sea surfaces covered with hundreds or thousands of pink bells, to the point that each fishing haul becomes a gelatinous mass difficult to handle. These recordings have helped quantify densities, dispersal routes, and bloom development year by year. 4. Goliath grouper. The Goliath grouper, Epinephelus itajara, is one of the largest bony reef fish in the Atlantic. It can exceed 2.5 meters in length and 300 kilograms in weight. Some reports mention specimens close to 360 kilograms. Its body is robust with a wide head, huge mouth, and powerful jaws. The color pattern is mottled brownish-green or yellowish with small dark spots. It inhabits tropical and subtropical waters of the western Atlantic. It is found from Florida and the Gulf of Mexico to Brazil, including the Caribbean. Populations also existed in the eastern Atlantic and eastern Pacific, today greatly reduced or absent in many areas. It prefers reefs, shipwrecks, mangroves, and hard structures near the coast, from the surface to about 50 meters deep. It is an ambush predator. It remains still near the bottom and uses its gigantic mouth to create a rapid suction when prey passes nearby. It feeds on slow-moving fish, crustaceans, octopuses, and occasionally small sharks. Its size and strength allow it to dominate much of the fauna sharing its habitat. It has slow growth and high longevity. It can live over 30 years and takes several years to reach sexual maturity. In addition, it forms predictable spawning aggregations where dozens or even more than 100 individuals gather at specific reef points for weeks. These concentrations, recorded off Florida and other regions, made it extremely vulnerable to intensive fishing. For decades, it was the target of sport and commercial fishing. Systematic capture of large adults reduced populations to critical levels across much of its range. In the United States, fishing in federal waters was prohibited in 1990. In Brazil and other countries, total or partial bans were applied in subsequent years. Despite these measures, recent studies indicate that the species is still classified as vulnerable globally and highly threatened in some regions due to illegal fishing and habitat loss. Goliath grouper aggregations have become an important attraction for diving. In areas of Florida, between August and October, dozens of large individuals gather around shipwrecks and artificial structures. Divers and cameras document these encounters, where several fish over 2 meters swim around the same point. These observations help locate key sites for reproduction and assess whether populations are recovering or declining again. 3. The Greenland shark. The Greenland shark, Somniosus microcephalus, is one of the largest sharks in the North Atlantic. Adults usually measure between 4 and 5 meters, but specimens over 6 meters in length and more than 1,000 kilograms in weight have been recorded. It lives in the cold waters of the North Atlantic and the Arctic. It has been observed around Greenland, Iceland, Canada, and Norway. It prefers temperatures close to the freezing point. It can move from the surface to depths of over 2,000 meters. Many observations come from bycatch and remotely operated vehicles in deep zones. It is famous for its longevity. Radiocarbon studies on proteins from the islands estimate that these sharks can live at least 250 years, and perhaps up to 400 or 500. The largest analyzed specimen, a female about 5 meters long, had an estimated age between 272 and 512 years. Even taking the lowest value, it is considered the longest-lived known vertebrate. Growth is very slow, less than 1 centimeter per year. Its metabolism is also exceptionally low. It swims at speeds of only about 1 to 2 kilometers per hour. This slowness matches the water temperature it inhabits and the scarcity of food in the depths. Many individuals have parasites in their eyes, such as copepods that attach to the cornea and can leave them nearly blind. Still, the sense of smell compensates for the limited vision. The diet is varied. It consumes fish, other sharks, and a wide range of marine carrion. In analyzed stomachs, remains of seals, reindeer, and even horses were found, probably animals that fell into the sea and were used as carrion. Its role as a large scavenger helps recycle biomass in remote regions of the ocean. For centuries, it was exploited for its liver oil, used as fuel for lamps and lubricants. Its flesh is toxic if eaten fresh due to nitrogen compounds such as trimethylamine oxide. In Iceland, it is consumed after a fermentation and drying process that reduces this toxicity. The combination of long life, late sexual maturity, and slow growth makes the species vulnerable to overexploitation. Any increase in capture can take centuries to reflect in full recovery. For this reason, many jurisdictions have limited or banned targeted fishing. Cameras show it as a discrete giant, robust body, gray-spotted skin, slow movements over dark bottoms. In contrast to other more active sharks, this predator seems to move slowly through an almost immobile landscape. 2. The ocean sunfish. The ocean sunfish, Mola mola, is one of the largest bony fish in the world. An average adult can measure about 1.8 meters in length, with a height of about 2.5 meters. The largest recorded specimens reach over 3 meters in length, more than 4 meters in height, and weighs close to 2.3 tons. Its body is almost disc-shaped. It is strongly laterally compressed and ends in a rounded structure called the clavus, which replaces the traditional tail of other fish. The skeleton is largely cartilaginous despite being a bony fish. This reduces structural weight and allows it to reach sizes that other fish with dense bones cannot support. It inhabits temperate and tropical waters of all oceans. It is a pelagic fish. It moves between the surface and depths exceeding 1,500 meters, although most sightings occur near the surface, where it is often seen lying on its side. This behavior is interpreted as thermoregulation, sun exposure after deep dives, or seeking birds that remove external parasites. Its diet consists mainly of gelatinous organisms, jellyfish, siphonophores, and other soft invertebrates. It also consumes small fish, squid, crustaceans, and zooplankton. To maintain such a large body mass on low-energy prey, it needs to feed almost constantly. The biology of the ocean sunfish is still far from fully understood. Many aspects of its reproduction and migrations remain unclear. It is known to produce an extraordinary number of eggs. A female can release hundreds of millions in a single season. The larvae are tiny and spiny, very different from the adult, and pass through planktonic stages before growing and adopting the characteristic disc shape. Cameras have allowed it to be tracked longer in the open sea and confirmed its regular presence in certain areas, such as off California, Japan, or Atlantic islands. Satellite tags reveal daily vertical movements, with deep dives followed by returns to surface layers to regain temperature. These data help understand at which trophic levels it feeds and how it uses different layers of the water column. In terms of conservation, the species is considered vulnerable. Incidental capture in drift nets and long lines is common. It also suffers collisions with boats and entanglement in floating marine debris. The combination of relatively slow growth, late production of large adults, and human-caused mortality means that any sustained pressure can reduce regional populations. This gigantic fish exemplifies an oceanic pattern. Strange body shapes, extreme sizes, and still incomplete biology despite thousands of recorded images. Yet, compared to other gelatinous deep-sea giants, the ocean sunfish is a familiar old resident. 1. The giant ghost jellyfish. The so-called giant ghost jellyfish, Stygiomedusa gigantea, is one of the largest invertebrates of the deep ocean. Its bell can exceed 1 meter in diameter, and its 4 oral arms reach lengths of up to 10 meters, similar to the length of a school bus. It is a deep-sea jellyfish, present in all the oceans of the world except the Arctic. It usually inhabits the bathypelagic zone, between 1,000 and 4,000 meters deep, although individuals have also been recorded at less than 300 meters in some recent expeditions off Antarctica and the coast of Argentina. Its anatomy differs from the typical image of a jellyfish. It has no long stinging tentacles. Instead, it has 4 wide arms, ribbon or kite-shaped, hanging from the bell. These arms lack specialized nematocysts but function as a large, sticky curtain. With them, it envelops and captures plankton, crustaceans, and small fish that pass too close. The body consistency is extremely gelatinous. This soft structure withstands pressures exceeding 5,000 pounds per square inch in the depths. The bell tissue is flexible. It can stretch several times its basic size, which likely allows it to enclose large volumes of water and concentrate prey within the curtain formed by the arms. Despite its size, direct records are scarce. Institutions accumulating decades of dives with remotely operated vehicles have reported only a few confirmed observations. An MBARI report mentioned only 9 sightings in more than 34 years of campaigns with thousands of dives. More recent studies estimate just over 100 records worldwide, many of them collected in recent years thanks to ROVs and the sharing of videos on social media. What little is known about its behavior comes from these recordings. It usually moves slowly, with the bell oriented upward and the arms hanging like dark veils. Occasionally, it has been seen near bottom structures and concentrations of other deep-sea organisms. No specialized predators are known, although large fish and other deep-sea invertebrates could feed on juvenile individuals. For humans, it is harmless. No direct impact on fishing or tourism has been documented, partly because it lives far from the surface. Its importance is ecological and scientific. It represents a different feeding strategy within the group of giant jellyfish. Instead of thin tentacles, a wide, slow, and silent capture surface. Its case summarizes well the current state of knowledge about marine giants. An animal over 10 meters in total length, distributed across all oceans, that has been seen live only a few times. The existence of such a creature, known almost only through minutes of video, suggests that even after filming whales, fish, octopuses, coastal jellyfish, corals, and giant siphonophores, the ocean still holds other colossal forms that will only appear when a camera happens by chance to be in the exact right place at the exact right time.